There's a new street fighter on your windowsill. The weapon is peace, the word is chill.
Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest action figure video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk toys. Let's talk video games featuring the toys that we love. This is going to be a new thing I'm going to do. Is it going to take off and be a regular thing? Who knows? Only the viewing numbers, which we will find out in all due time. Guys, this is the classic side-scrolling Spider-Man 4-player arcade beat-em-up. We're going way back, and we're going to have a little playthrough, and I'm going to give the commentary of what is going on, what my thoughts, feelings are as we watch this video game. So let's not stand on ceremony. Mr. Wayne, let's get to it. So here we go, guys. This is something that is a little bit less effort than some of my normal videos, but I thought this could be quite good fun because I have such fond memories of being in the arcades as a kid and seeing games like this, and this is before the days of even the Sega Mega Drive. So this was like the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. I was looking at these graphics and thinking, this is like a cartoon. I'm watching a playable cartoon. This is bonkers. And it wouldn't even occur to me that maybe, oh gosh, first of all, the Scorpion. Already I'm marking out for what we're seeing on screen. It wouldn't even occur to me that the gameplay was very basic or just left, right, punch, kick, because this was groundbreaking to me. The fact that Spider-Man could shoot a web and swing across the stage, I was absolutely enraptured. If I had £10,000 worth of 50p's, I would have put them all in to play this over and over again. Thank goodness I didn't. So let's take a look at what we're playing here. First of all, that dude, the fat dude with the chains, tell me that's not the human version of Bebop from Ninja Turtles. That's just the first thing that caught my eye there. But these goons, I don't think they're from anywhere. I mean, these aren't hand ninjas, are they? It's very much just like the foot soldiers in TMNT, especially with them being different colors as well to give you some more variety. And this is classic late 80s, early 90s Scorpion. Oh, with the little whip-spinning helicopter attack as well. Again, it's the Scorpion that I always have a bit of a problem with, where he has the green mouth and the green nose. Oh, and here comes Venom in the background as well. Gosh, there's already so much stuff happening, I can barely keep up with it. But that's why I loved this so much, because it's such a celebration of everything that you love about the comics straight there on the arcade screen. And also, I love that it's putting more lore into what's going on. Like, what was Venom in there? Was that a stasis pod or something? And again, I wasn't that familiar with the comics. So, like, what is this creature? What is Venom? Why does he have a spider symbol on him? What's the backstory? It absolutely just enraptured me. I wanted to know more. I wanted to find out more. And this is actually quite a good-looking version of Venom until, oof, he took the eat me drink from Alice in Wonderland. So we've got giant King Kong Venom doing a kind of a Donkey Kong kind of shtick. I think he's going to start throwing barrels down at you. But I like the way the camera kind of pulls out, so you get this more widescreen kind of view. But one thing obviously they can't do so well is the web swinging. It would take a few years before we got to that, so Spider-Man's very much a walker. But Namor clearly has his own brand of soft drink as well. And that's another bizarre thing, was the characters that you could play with Spider-Man. You've got Namor, was it Hawkeye also, I think? And then Black Cat. Black Cat makes perfect sense. No problem there. But Namor and Hawkeye? That's quite bizarre. Unless it wasn't Hawkeye. I'm losing my marbles. I think it was, but maybe I'm just imagining that. But speaking of losing marbles, I don't know where they got the idea for giant Venom from. I mean, it's fun, but also, if you're going to have a giant character, why not someone who it makes sense to be giant? You could have had Sandman, for example. You can always have a giant Sandman. That makes perfectly logical sense. Whereas with giant Venom, it's just, well, he's giant now. Like, okay. But hey, anything to zap your money from you. Or your quarters, if you're playing in the US. But I loved the art style for Venom because Venom can be drawn in so many different ways. And you'll have people who draw it more modern with huge, big lashing tongue and massive teeth. But this is very much the late 80s, early 90s Todd McFarlane looking Venom with the smaller mouth and the smaller teeth, which in some ways looks even more creepy. Because I always thought when Venom looks more like a monster, then he's just a big monster. But when he actually looks like almost a little bit human, it's that kind of uncanny valley where it's like, oh, he looks a bit human, but he's not human. He's weird and sinister, and that's what makes Venom so cool. When he was that just psycho stalker, sort of broken-hearted, crazy ex-girlfriend type character, or crazy ex-boyfriend being Venom, but you get what I'm saying. And the symbiote is asexual, so I'm just going down a dark path there. But actually, no, it's not. Asexual means no sexual attraction. What's where there's no gender? I don't know. Why are we talking about this now? Let's get back to Spider-Man beating up random thugs and goons. It's very Streets of Rage here, and I'm glad that at least they're mixing things up where it's not just the random masked foot soldiers, but you got some regular street thugs as well, which of course Spidey can make short work of. And in classic, computer game style, it's all palette swaps. So far, I think we've seen two different thugs. We've got this guy here, and we've got the ninja guys. But we've got about 8 different varieties of each of them. Oh, and we got Bebop as well. We got Ninja Turtles Bebop, who we dispatched very quickly, and I'm surprised that we haven't seen since. I quite dig that we get the little speech bubbles as well. And this was always a difficult thing for superhero games, is that you need to kind of just suspend disbelief a little bit that there are going to be limitless amounts of thugs in the streets who are just looking to get their butts whipped, and we're happy to oblige. And I tell you what, I love how Kingpin was drawn, animated there as this big, huge, beefy, imposing looking Kingpin. That's really cool. And now Venom's got some backup as well. That was always a common thing in video games, wasn't it? You fight the boss, and then you fight the boss with a bunch of minions around. But I've got to give them credit. We've got new minions. We've got Kingpin gangster type people now. And they look cool. We've got the suits and ties. Very, very agents from the Matrix there. But also, as far as comic book logic goes, I'm kind of glad that we haven't dispatched Venom too easily, because this is back at a time also where Spider-Man really, he's lucky if he can, get by Venom by the skin of his teeth. And thank goodness, even though he's wearing the symbiote, he does still keep underwear on. And that's the first level. And I think that's a pretty good introduction. I think a lot of people probably never made it past, anywhere further than this, because you put in, 1 quarter or whatever. That's probably as far as you're going to get. But it's nice to see the slightly animated chapters as well. This was during a time where it was so fun to go into an arcade. It's the Green Goblin too! They do such a good job of representing these characters. They look awesome. They look exactly like they should do. Now, I've got to say, it's a bit of a shame that we are on level 2 and all these guys are repeating themselves again. We've got we've got the same guys with the t-shirts. Hey, Bebop's back. Or his slightly different cel-shaded brother. But at least it does add some nice variety, and I'm not going to knock it too much because it makes sense. It's how video games were made. You gotta turn a profit. You can't make 10,000 different characters. And I'm just funny that these guys, they look a bit like the Hellfire goons. They definitely look like the guards from the Hellfire Club, except obviously more colourful. That's very generous of them to put some power out for you as well. I guess they wanted to at least give you a fighting chance in some places, because that's the thing with arcades. They need to make it difficult enough so that it's going to sap as much money out of you as possible, but they've got to just keep throwing you a bone often enough to keep you invested, to make you feel like, no, I can do this, it's going to give me a power-up, and if you die, then you're probably going to think to yourself, well, if I just kept on playing, there was probably a power-up right around the corner. Bebop did the fat man roll, just like the big fat guys. Oh, it's the lizard! It's got to be the lizard, although he has got blonde hair. That's That's not technically what I remember Kurt Connors. Kurt Connors has always got brown hair. I mean, stop me if I'm wrong. But again, they've got the lizard right, although he looks a little bit skinny. It looks like he's missed a few meals. There's not much bulk and heft to the lizard. He doesn't look all that imposing, to be honest. It looks like Spider-Man's going to mug him. But hey, well, actually, yeah, he is. I feel bad for the lizard. He doesn't really stand a chance here. But again, it's just great to see all the different characters. You know, so far we've had Scorpion, Venom, Green Goblin, Lizard, Kingpin, all these classics. And that's what makes it so much fun as a Spider-Man fan to play through these games, is to see, well, who are we going to see next? And that's something they kept with the Spider-Man games too, right back to the, right up to the PlayStation version when they finally went 3D. It was all about who are we going to see pop up. That's what I love about the Marvel Universe, how wonderfully interconnected it is. I think Spider-Man on the PlayStation, my goodness, they had so many cameos and appearances in there. I think we got Daredevil, Captain America. Was Black Cat in there? I know we got Venom, but that kind of goes without saying. He's always going to be a good Spider-Man villain. But when they can do these games where it's like a full-on ensemble cast, it just reminds you of how rich this world is. And it's surprising to see so much platforming going on in these kinds of arcade games, because this isn't the kind of stuff that saps your quarters so quickly. It's a bit more down to you to just kind of play the game right. And that's something that I'm always surprised by, is how many arcade games actually play a lot like console games. Because normally I'm used to just going in there, and there's 10,000 bad guys, and you'll fight them, and they'll kill you very quickly, and that's it. But then you get these little platforming bits, and it's like playing on a home console. And now we got Electro, who is very, very politely going to attack in identical attack patterns. Doesn't seem to occur to him that, like, if I could just angle my lightning a little bit differently. But hey, thank goodness he doesn't. That way the good guys prevail once again. And again, we've got limitless supplies of ninjas. If they are ninjas, or goons, ninja goons. I want to know where these guys are from. Clearly, they've just been made for the game. Unless they... I don't think there's any comic reference for these guys. And now I'm actually trying to figure out where we are. Are we on a blimp? Is this some kind of aircraft? It must be. Ah! Clearly it's the Kingpin's secret aircraft. Working undercover tonight. Alright, I'm glad that we've zoomed back in, because it's always more fun to get a close-up of the characters, you know, looking... I love the big sprites. Big, chunky sprites always look so much better. Although, it's a shame that Spider-Man has this weird sort of hunched-over kind of pose. He doesn't look very spidery or super, even. He looks like a bored high school kid, like walking down the corridors of his school. There's nothing very heroic about the way that he's animated or moving. I think it wasn't until maybe Marvel vs. Capcom when we got Spider-Man, we got a really iconic kind of Spider-Man sprite. I thought that looked really, really great. He was animated crouching really, really low with his hands up in a kind of a spidery, ready to pounce kind of position. That looked really great. I think that's... Honestly, I always kind of wanted a video game, kind of 8-bit style tattoo. I'd love to have that sort of, I suppose, what was it, 32-bit, maybe, 64-bit, animated looking, digitized kind of Spider-Man, that pixely Spider-Man. I thought that looked really cool. Maybe, maybe no one else would, but I would have got a real kick out of that. But I'd like it if hopefully we can sort of vary and mix up what kind of backgrounds we're getting now, because we need some more variety in the game. Because we've still only fought the same kinds of villains, these random henchmen. Bebop's making more appearances. I kind of want to see a Rocksteady equivalent so I can get the full set. But here, hopefully, Green Goblin can mix things up a little bit. I wonder if they'll have him on his glider at all, if they could figure out some way of doing that. It looks like Goblin's gone to the dollar store to get himself a Infinity Gauntlet. It's like, this thing doesn't work. It's like, yeah, well, you know, what do you expect for 99 cents? It's not gonna blip people out of existence, I'm afraid. Hob? Nah, that's Green Goblin. We could see Hobgoblin though. You see, that would be a perfect palette swap. That character himself is a palette swap. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we see him later, because this game, I'm not sure when it was made, but judging by the characters, the looks, I'm going to wager maybe 1992, 91, 92 maybe. I'm going to have to do some research and go back on this and check it out. But at least now, I love the fact that the stage is moving and evolving from one thing to another. It's not just stage ends and then you've got a whole new background. And there's the glider as well. It's great to see him on the glider. And it's lovely that clearly people who are into the comics, who know the characters, have made this game, or at least been consulted on making this game. Because again, back in the day where you would have licensed properties, it wasn't unusual to just have a games company get the license for a game or for a character and then just do whatever with it. And it wouldn't really make the most sense. They're just like, oh no, it's a Spider-Man game. He's not actually doing anything you would expect. Whereas here, we've got the classic villains who look the way they should. And I think things like having Venom in that stasis container and stuff, that's extra comic book lore that you wouldn't really need to tie in. But obviously someone who cares about the character wants things to make sense. Oh, it was Hawkeye! There he is. Hawkeye, Namor, Spider-Man, and Black Cat. No discernible reason why those three or four would be together, but there you go. Alright, and we've got another setting of a casino, and at least they tied it together again. It makes sense. They crashed into the casino, and all these goons are waiting for them, so clearly this is a villainous hideout type casino. We should have Chance. Chance should be running the casino. I think that's a bit too much of a deep cut for this game, maybe. I think even some of the more diehard Spider-Man fans would see him and go, who? I like Chance. I hope that we can get a Marvel Legend of him at some point, because he's just a fun-looking character with his jetpack and his helmet and the little pencil moustache. Alright, we've got a blue version of Bebop now, again with the Fat Man role. If he does the fire-breathing charge across the stage, I'm calling shenanigans. But I don't know if Streets of Rage would be out by this point. Because it's 1991, so the Mega Drive is out. But I don't know if we've had Streets of Rage yet. I sincerely hope that green thing is the Scorpion. Yes, it is. Again, kind of like the Lizard, I think they could have made the Scorpion a bit bigger. He looks cool. Like, I think the character sprite looks really, really good, but they could have just animated him a bit bigger. Just juiced him up a little bit. Give him the Scott Putski Award, because he looks a bit too normal. Actually, very much like the Marvel Legend itself. He's not as imposing as I want him to look, because he's not just a guy in a Scorpion suit. He actually has had his DNA altered. I'm pretty sure that that's the case. It's funny, as I get older and read more comics, my knowledge becomes less specific. Because it used to be that I was just a little kid and I knew everything there is to know about Spider-Man. And then I get too many influences and it's like, oh, okay, well, now I know a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And just like Homer Simpson, every time I learn something new, it pushes something old out of my brain. Like that time I took a home winemaking course and forgot how to drive. You were drunk! And how? That's a staple of Spider-Man games of the early 90s. Shooting your webbing out like little sort of web bullets. It's like the classic mechanic of these side-scrolling platform-type games, of course, is run and gun. Of course, Spider-Man doesn't have a gun, so he'll just use his webbing in ways that he would never use it in the comics, really. I mean, obviously, he shoots his web at the criminals, but yeah, not like that exactly. Oh, that's some fun Doc Ock animation there. I like that. He's attacking you with a Nokia game of Snake there. Again, Doc Ock looking quite small, but in fairness, it's the zoomed out version of the level, so hopefully when they zoom in, he'll look a little bit more impressive. But Doc Ock normally was like the staple villain for any Spider-Man game of this era. It would normally be Doc Ock that is the mastermind behind these things, the master planner. And again, Doc Ock was just living his best life in the 90s. He had the Sinister Six, and it was a good time. It was a good time to be an 8-limbed criminal. I tell you what, I've got to wonder how many desks the Kingpin gets through. I hope that wasn't mahogany. Or camphor wood. It'd be heartbreaking. I'm not sure about the globe rug. A little bit garish. It doesn't really tie the room together at all. Kingpin definitely needs to fire his interior designer. And hopefully we're going to transition outside it. Oof! Check out the roundhouse kick. Look at him there. A little back and high kick there from that guy. Alright, we got two Bebops. Bebop Red and Bebop Blue. Gosh, it's like... And Bebop Green. Wow, okay. I was about to say it's like Superman in the 90s, except we got a green version as well. Do you guys remember that? When we had electric blue Superman and electric red Superman. They were trying everything. And I can't fault them because for a while, everything was working. So first of all, we kill Superman, then we bring him back. He has a mullet. We make him electric. And all companies were doing this. Again, this wasn't. We weren't at the Clone Saga yet. It'd be another 3 years or so before the Clone Saga starts to kick off. Hey, I called Sandman. I mean, that's hardly impressive. So of course he's going to appear eventually. But now see, that's looking good. That's a good-looking Sandman. He looks big. He looks beefy. Like look at that. He's got some big upper body there. As Rick Rude used to say about pro wrestling, it's an upper body business, pal. Don't worry about training legs. Clearly the Sandman doesn't. If you have full molecular control over sand and how you look, jack your legs up a little bit, pal. It doesn't look so impressive. It was right around this time in the comics that the Sandman was actually becoming a good guy. He was starting to work with the Avengers, and he was working with Silver Sable and her Wild Pack. He was beginning to atone for his crimes. And I really enjoyed that character arc and angle, that a character who was, for what, by this point, about 30 years, a staple villain in the books, could actually change and evolve. And it was interesting that he was a cemented Sandman. He was a cemented good guy. He was a hero. And then a writer wrote a story with him where they just made him evil again. They were like, no, we're going to make him a criminal. And fans were so annoyed at this because it was such a change for no reason. It was like he was just suddenly bad again, that they did another story where they kind of retconned why he became a bad guy again, which was a nice touch. I think it was the Wizard. I think the Wizard got hold of Sandman and he kind of mentally brainwashed him, reprogrammed him, and you know, to sort of force him to become evil again. Which at least was nice that they gave a reason for it. And even now, Sandman and a lot of villains, they are complex. They're not just bad for bad's sake. I mean, again, hey, look, come on. That's why good comic book characters are so good. And they have been, you know, since the dawn of comic books. Is because they aren't just black and white. There are reasons behind their actions. And, you know, that's why Sandman was one of the few redeeming things in Spider-Man 3. I mean, that movie, whew, oh boy, there was a lot of rough stuff there. And honestly, I think, what's his name? Is it Thomas Hayden Church? I think it's Thomas Hayden Church. I know, I guess I get confused with Hayden Christensen, because it's Christensen and Church. But either way, his Sandman deserved better than the movie that he appeared in. Yeah, one day, hopefully, we'll get another good Sandman on screen. Who knows? Maybe he'll be in Spider-Man No Way Home. We'll have to wait and see. All right, we go. Hey, it's the Hobgoblin! The palette swap. Excellent. I don't know why I'm so chuffed about that. It's like, congratulations, Dave. You suggested that a mainstream villain would be in this game that is clearly using all the mainstream villains. Alright, Spider-Man nearly got a haircut there. I guess we're playing around with perspective. He's not jumping straight into the helicopter blades, thank goodness. Although I wanted to zoom in. I want to get a better look at what the Hobgoblin actually looks like. This is all too far away, but I have a sneaking suspicion, yeah, judging by that life bar, we weren't going to get a closer look at the Hobgoblin unless they bring him back. Nope. Gosh, Kingpin fighting on top of the helicopter? That's not a Kingpin type move. He's got to be pretty desperate by this point. Again, looking at those pink, purple pants and the cravat, I'm so happy that Marvel Legends gave us classic Kingpin. When we got the Builder figure dressed all in white, you know, he looked great, but he wasn't the Kingpin that we wanted. We wanted this guy. And obviously, Hasbro knew that as well. They were like, no. We can sell this guy twice. And boy, howdy, did they ever. I would happily pay it. I was so pleased to see those bright classic colors. I had no problem with that at all. But yeah, doing the classic boss rush. The big old shoulder barge. And is that... Ooh. Oh, we're upping the stakes. I thought Doc Ock was going to be the main villain, but there we go. We've got Doom. I wonder what kind of set piece we're going to have for Doom. At least we've got Namor with us. And Namor, he's more that kind of Avengers level type hero, so he should be able to handle Doom. I like the fact that Spider-Man has had so many run-ins with Doctor Doom, and it's never sort of suggested that Spidey can take out Doom. You know, that's not his power level, but he always manages to survive because he's Spider-Man, and even he manages to just not outwit Doom, but just kind of appeal on a human level to just kind of amuse. I think that's normally it. Normally Spider-Man will amuse Doom, or I think Doom finds Spidey kind of endearing. He's like, you ridiculous human being, I'm not even going to waste my time killing you. At least that's my sort of kayfabe as well. It's a similar sort of relationship he has with Loki, I think, as well. Again, Loki's a god. He could just, you know, blip Spider-Man out of existence if he wanted to. But he's like, no, I kind of like this guy. Ugh, all this fire makes me think Mephisto's going to pop up at some point. Let's not do that. I don't like these weird monkey men. I don't know what they are. I don't know where they come from or what they represent, but they look a bit weird. They look a bit weird and a bit freaky, and I don't like it. I don't like those guys. But my goodness, we've still got the Hellfire Goons. I don't know how these guys have managed to follow us all the way from New York, and now I'm wondering, are they working for the Kingpin? Or are they working for Doom? What's the story here? All seems a little bit slapdash. But just like with the comics, I've instantly lost a bit of interest. Because Spider-Man is fighting monkey people in a cave. It's like, this isn't Spider-Man. Spider-Man's New York. Spider-Man's street crime. Maybe sewers. New York and sewers and warehouses and laboratories. That's Spider-Man. Weird underground fire caves. Nah, I'm sorry. You lost me. I'm sure even the lizard is like, what am I doing here? How did I get into this fire cave? This makes no sense. That's my lizard voice. And now we're scrolling out again. And I forgot how short this game is, that we are technically at the final stage here. But I know this is quite an epic coin muncher. And I was about to wonder if Carnage was going to turn up. But of course, Carnage hasn't been created yet. Yeah, we're still very much at the stage where Venom is a relatively new character. He's the shiny new toy. We wouldn't get Carnage for a good 1 year, 2 years. When does Carnage pop up? Is he maybe 1992 or 1993? It's tough. I guess a little bit confused, but either way, he's off on the horizon at the moment. Definitely not 91. That's way too soon. Because the Clone Saga starts in 94. That's when we get Ben Reilly coming back and Judas Traveler, and by that point, that's after Maximum Carnage. So we've already had 2 epic Carnage stories by that point. So probably late 1992, going into 1993. I think that's when we get Carnage. But enough of that random backstory. This seems like such a random setting for Spider-Man, just wandering aimlessly through some valley. And again, that character sprite, he looks so bored. He looks bored and disinterested. Ah, Castle Doom. I assume it's Castle Doom. Oh, you're gonna have to knock. Well, the door is closed. Knock.
and the door shall open.
Unless there's going to be some guy who's like, there ain't no wizard here. Never is, never was. I assume those were mines. We just did a little web swing over there. And clearly these Rentagoons just work for everybody. There must be an agency. I hope they get good rates. At least dental. I mean, my goodness. Who honestly, who would be a goon in the Marvel Universe? Like, no one. You must have a life expectancy. Oh, nice little rat animation there. It's a shame. I don't think we're going to get any more sprite enemies now, or enemy sprites. I think if we're getting Bebop again, then we've clearly run the gamut by this point. I think the freaky long-armed monkey men, I think that must have been the last of that. Because yeah, we're just getting all the different colors, all the palette swaps. All the colors of the rainbow. But yeah, Spidey's making short work of them. It would be fun if we could do like a 4-player one here, just to see the different characters on screen at the same time. Because that was the most fun in the arcades, when you could get 2, 3, even 4 people playing all at once. I think at least we're getting some nice parallax scrolling at the background there. Yeah, give you a nice little sense of depth going on. Again, it felt like witchcraft, seeing these kinds of graphics. And it's like, I will never, ever be able to play a game like this at home. This is just another level that we mere mortals will never get to experience. I didn't think computer games were going to advance that quickly when I was a kid. There were a lot of surprises. That's one thing that's kind of cool about the 90s, is how quickly things developed. And like every time a new generation of games console came out, it was mind-blowing. I mean, now games are incredible. You know, things like The Last of Us 2 and all that kind of stuff. It's mind-blowing, but you kind of expect it. And now whenever a new game system comes out, it's more of an incremental upgrade. You know what we're capable of, and it's just more of that. Whereas back in the 90s, when you went from NES to Super Nintendo, it was a quantum leap, and it blew your mind. And those were the days. Now, fighting the Goblin here, I guess this must be Harry, technically? Because, you know, 1991, Norman is well and truly pushing up daisies. At least as far as we were concerned, as readers, before it turns out at this point in time Norman's in Europe. And actually this castle does look quite European. So maybe this is Norman doing a bit of goblining. This whole time, poor old Peter, he's assuming that he's fighting Harry, but that could be Norman in there. Although if that were the case, then Kingpin's helicopter would have had to have gone over the Atlantic. Ugh, not these monkey men guys again. They've got some real swagger when they walk. They've got the Vince McMahon walk. Look at that. The Vince McMahon walk, just flailing those arms all over the place. I'm glad that we've not seen the last of Sandman. I quite like his... I wish they would do more with his animations. Because like this is fun with the hand popping up. Yeah, that's kind of cool. If that is a hand. But yeah, they could do more. They could have more fun with that. I mean, gosh, it looks like you're in a sandcastle. Like a giant sandcastle. They could have had Sandman be a part of that. But in fairness, again, I'm sure they were working with limited resources to try and, you know, get a coin muncher of a video game out as quickly as possible. And, you know, more power to them. But this, along with, gosh, there were some real classics at this time. There was this Spider-Man. There was, oh gosh, the RoboCop arcade game. That was one that my jaw hit the floor when I saw that, because I was the biggest RoboCop fan when I was like 10 years old. So far too young to have watched RoboCop, but that's how things were in the 80s. In the 80s, our parents were just like, hey, brutally violent movie over 18? Yeah, knock yourself out. It's fine, go for it. It's like, you gotta learn about these things someday. What, you're going to grow up not knowing about people exploding and getting shot to pieces? Nah, best to learn from an early age. Alright, we're getting full-on Doom's gonna get medieval here. But now, I mean, I won't lie. I think if I was playing this game in the arcades, I'd be running out of money. And watching the playthrough, you know, I'm kind of running out of steam a little bit because, oh, and having said that, there he is. Gosh, that was perfect timing, wasn't it? Just as I was being like, whew, okay, I'm getting a little spider fatigued here. we actually get Doom, and Doom looks good. He's big, he's big, and I love the way that they've incorporated the kind of rocket pack, the jetpack under the cape, like we know that Doom has. And what was very nice was that the Marvel Legend figure, the retro version of Doom, has that as well. And that was a lovely touch that they put in there, because people often forget that Doom he's actually very much like Iron Man. It's not just armor, but it's like a full-on robotic suit. Doom, just ask Doom, he'll tell you that anything Tony Stark can do, he can do better. I mean, he was the superior, was it superior Iron Man or infamous Iron Man? One of the two. Uh-oh. It was a Doom bot. You're finished, Doom. Doom's robot doubles. You see, it's never Doom. That's the thing. And that's why, Doom in the comics there will never be a definitive Death of Doom storyline, because, well, it's always a Doom bot. That's always going to be the case. And look, I've got no problem with that. Doom is awesome. I haven't read like every Doom story. There's big important ones that I'm not that familiar with, but every time he does pop up, I'm a big fan of the character, and especially the 2015 or 2016 Secret Wars story when he became God Doom. I loved that. I feel like that was like Marvel doing Game of Thrones, and they did it really, really well, which is very surprising, because, I mean, Game of Thrones was the biggest thing in the world at that time. Hard to believe now, isn't it? But, yeah, and so the idea of Marvel going, hey, this thing is super popular, we're going to try and do our own version, that sounds dubious. That's like, oh, this is going to suck. But actually, no, they did an amazing job. Secret Wars, where they combined all the different universes and realities, and Doom was the God Emperor, and Stephen Strange was like his consort, and it was incredibly well made. So if you've not read that, go out and read it. It did also give us the God Doom action figure as well, which is kind of meh. That was the weakest figure on the Bring on the Bad Guys wave, if you ask me, which I don't think anyone did, but I'm going to give you my opinion regardless. Because even though the Doom sculpt is good, it was essentially just another repaint of the Super Skrull Doom. It was the third one we had in about a year. And yeah, they changed his torso, but that's about it. So I think I do have him in my to sell pile, but funnily enough, I put him up for sale on the Facebook group. No one went for him. No one was that tempted. I think I put him for like 15 quid. Maybe that's too expensive. It was greed. It was my own hubris and greed. I think if I drop him down to a tenner, maybe someone will go for him. Because he does come with Thanos' skull and spine, which is quite cool and quite gruesome for Marvel Legends. I was impressed with that. Alright, this I'm guessing, this has got to be the final, the real Doom. Although again, having said that, this can't be just the final form that you fight him in. If like any good arcade game, there has to be different versions that you fight this guy. So clearly he's going to be on his platform, then maybe we've got to zoom in and we're going to mix it up with some fisticuffs. Yeah, come on. We got to change things a bit. Now learn what it means to face the true power of Doom. Alright, what does that mean? What have you got for us, Doom? Alright, there you go. One-on-one. Mano a mano. For the first time, for the last time. If this turns out to be a Doom bot, I'm going to be furious. Lord knows how many quarters we would have put into this thing by now to get to this stage. But it would have been worth it. It would have been a fun trip. You know, if your mum's doing the shopping or whatever, you can spend 40 minutes playing your way through this. Although I've got to guess this would cost at least 10, 15 bucks to get to this point. Alright, is this the big finish? Oh, a bit of self-destruct, but again, he's got a new life bar. That's where the game knows. It's all about the sunken cost fallacy. You know, you've sunk so much time and so much money into this that they know that now they can really start to drain your quarters, because it's like, you're not going to give up now. Not when you're right at the end. So they're going to give Doom a whole bunch of life bars that you have to try and get through. And I can't even say that I'm mad at them, because that's why they make these games. It's like with Marvel Legends. I'll get annoyed at some of the tactics they do, but at the same time, if they didn't, we wouldn't get some of the obscure characters that we do. The fact that I'm looking at my shelves with Lasher and Phage on them, I'm like, you know what? I'll I'll play the game. It was another Doom bot. Are you kidding me? I wanted to murder a human being. It's not good enough. But Venom's back. Oh, come on. Okay, this is egregious. This is the game going, nope, nope. You've still got some quarters in your pocket. I can hear you jingling and jangling. You're not going anywhere until your pockets are absolutely empty. Although, like any good video game, it's now the escape from the base while the self-destruct has been initiated. This is pure Resident Evil style, before Resident Evil came along. Although, I'm not down with multiple Venoms. What is going on here? Oh, that's cool! That's a move we don't really see Venom do much anymore, where he'll just put his symbiote over someone's head and essentially just, like, smother them with it. Like, that's a mean old approach to take, and I totally dig it. So, that's really cool. But guys, I think that was the final... Awesome! That was the end of the Spider-Man arcade game, and what a wild ride it was. And down goes Castle Doom. And that counts, as far as I'm concerned, that was a good ending sequence. Doom's castle burns in the distance. The battle is over. However, I'll do a Stanley voice.
In your heart, you believe that Doom is bound to return one day. But should that day come, you know you're going to be there to foil his evil designs. After all, that's what being a superhero is all about, isn't it? Excelsior!
Hey, and a nice little splash page as well, going up in flames. Guys, thank you so much for watching. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. I think if you enjoyed that too, then let me know, because we can definitely do more of these in the future, because I grew up in the 90s, and there are a whole lot of arcade games that we can go through. And guys, that was the Spider-Man arcade beat-em-up. I hope you enjoyed that. I got kind of a blast out of just going through that and all the comments and thoughts and stories and memories that all those different characters brought back. If you did enjoy this experience and you're still watching, God bless you, then please like, share, comment, subscribe, do all those good things. Join the 6-1 Clicks by clicking all the appropriate buttons. And guys, if you want to go one step beyond with supporting the channel, you can do by going over to patreon.com/displaying model behavior, just like these saviors of model behavior did, and you can watch all the various exclusive videos up there for your enjoyment. And if you want to sport some model behavior merchandise, just like this very handsome t-shirt right here, you can do by ordering your own at teespring.com with the link right below this video. Guys, that's enough shilling. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Chill. Yeah.
And let's talk toys. Let's talk... Don't know what I'm going to talk about.